I'll go talk to that boy, Jiang Niu said. You two go back and keep Liu Hai occupied. We can't let him stay stuck in this peaceful stupor. He needs to get moving. Ling Xiao and Ling Zai nodded at his words and followed Liu Hai back to the kind woman's house. When they returned, they saw Liu Hai preparing to lie down and rest. Ling Xiao, what do we do now? Ling Zai asked, lowering her voice. How are we supposed to snap Liu Hai out of this? Ling Xiao gave her a sideways glance. From his angle, he could see her youthful face and the elegant line of her neck. He didn't think much of it, but if it had been someone else, they would have had a different reaction. Leave it to me, he said simply, and strode outside toward Liu Hai. Liu Hai, I want to spar with you. Liu Hai blinked, then suddenly laughed out loud as if he'd heard the funniest joke in the world. Ling Xiao, are you serious? You want to spar with me? Don't forget what level you're at right now. I've got way more combat experience than you. Stop joking. Clearly, he wasn't taking Ling Xiao seriously at all. But Ling Xiao didn't plan to back down. How would you know how much I've improved if we don't fight? I'm confident I can beat you now. That did the trick. Liu Hai's expression shifted, clearly provoked. He stood up from his chair. Fine then. Let's go. But let's find a clear space first. I'm not about to wreck Big Sis's house. I'll show you what I'm really capable of. Ling Xiao led Liu Hai to an open field nearby, and the two began to spar. During this time in the village, Liu Hai hadn't been cultivating at all. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, had been steadily improving. In the opening exchange, Liu Hai found himself actually struggling to keep up. Seeing this, Liu Hai's expression turned sharp. He hadn't expected Ling Xiao to grow this strong. But that didn't mean he was about to give up. He still had a solid foundation. Ling Xiao wouldn't win that easily. I'll admit it, Liu Hai said. You've made a lot of progress in a short time. But don't think I'll lose. I won't back down. Ling Xiao nodded slightly, but his expression remained casual, unbothered. That only irritated Liu Hai more. He felt like Ling Xiao wasn't taking him seriously, and he wasn't going to let that slide. You'll regret making that face, Liu Hai muttered. With that, he launched another round of heavy attacks. Every strike was forceful, aiming to knock Ling Xiao down, but Ling Xiao deflected each one with precision and calm. Ling Zai, watching from the sidelines, was stunned. Ling Xiao had grown far more powerful than she'd realized, and not just in strength. There was something grounded and commanding in him now. He was no longer the guy who liked to act cool and show off. Without anyone noticing, he'd already become someone who could stand toe-to-toe with Liu Hai. And sure enough, as the duel continued, Liu Hai's sword was eventually knocked flying. You lost, Ling Xiao said. Liu Hai stood frozen, staring at Ling Xiao in disbelief. He couldn't believe what had just happened. He had really lost to Ling Xiao. It hadn't even been 2 months since they left the village, yet Ling Xiao had already surpassed him. If this continued, he'd be left in the dust. How did you get so strong all of a sudden? Liu Hai stammered. Ling Xiao gave a faint, confident smile. Because while you were enjoying the quiet life, I kept training. That's why you lost. Those words ignited something in Liu Hai. His pride, his drive, it all came roaring back. He couldn't let Ling Xiao surpass him, not like this. He was going to train seriously again. Starting now. At the same time, Jiang Niu had already tracked down the rebellious young man from before. He saw the boy quietly sneaking out of his house and followed him at a distance. The youth didn't seem to notice at first, but the next moment, he slipped into a narrow alleyway and then disappeared from sight entirely. Jiang Niu immediately understood. The boy had realized he was being followed. When he turned around, the teenager was already standing behind him. Who are you? Why were you following me? Jiang Niu smiled at the question. Just a traveler passing through your village, he said. You can call me Jiang Niu. I came looking for you because I'd like your cooperation. I want to reignite the fighting spirit in my friend. The boy looked at him in surprise, as though hearing something completely unheard of, and in a way, he was. Everyone who ever came to their village ended up embracing the same quiet, docile way of life. He never understood how those people could go through the same motions day after day and still smile so contentedly. Every step of their lives had been predetermined and orchestrated. There was no need to think, no need to act, to just exist. It was this that frustrated him most. This, He refused to accept. Perhaps every teenager goes through a rebellious phase, a yearning to prove they are different. Why haven't you become like the rest of them? He asked. Everyone who comes here eventually settles down, says this village is peaceful and perfect. Don't you want that too? Jiang Yu laughed softly. Honestly, I almost did. If it hadn't been for Lin Xiao, I might have stayed. But after he made me see things clearly, I realized that this village erodes your will. And at our age, when we should be burning with ambition, that's the last thing we need. The boy nodded in agreement. He was about the same age as Jiang Yu, maybe a year or two younger. How could he possibly be satisfied with such a life? You're right, he said. At our age, we should be full of fire. Living like this, I can't take it anymore. I'll help you wake your friend up, but in return, when you leave this place, you have to take me with you. Jiang Yu fell silent for a moment. He wasn't sure why, but hesitation flickered in his mind. He already had a small group around him now. Would Lin Xiao and the others easily accept someone new? Besides, he still didn't know who this boy really was. I'll need to talk it over with my companions first, Jiang Yu said. But before that, can I have your name? Of course, the boy replied. You can call me Zhao Yang. Jiang Yu nodded. The name fit him. Zhao Yang, a shining sun. Someone who is always chasing the light, refusing to be swallowed by the shadows around him. I'll return soon, Jiang Yu said. If they agree, I'll come and tell you. Zhao Yang nodded and let Jiang Yu go. Left alone, he whistled a cheerful tune and wandered around the village, full of anticipation. Deep down, he was sure Jiang Yu would say yes. Because really, who else could help them escape this place? No one else was still awake like he was. Zhao Yang didn't know why, but ever since he was young, he had always remained clear-headed. Even as his childhood friends slowly followed the paths their parents laid out, he stayed defiant, refusing to surrender. He once had a brother who dreamed with him of exploring the outside world, but even that brother eventually gave in, choosing the safe, still life this village offered. Zhao Yang had tried to awaken them, to drag them out to see the world. But every time, he failed. He didn't understand how his people could all reach such a lifeless state. No desire, no ambition. It was as if they'd already made peace with death, as though nothing in this world was worth wanting anymore. So Zhao Yang had stopped trying. Now, he only wanted one thing, to leave this place and see the world for himself. Back at Big Sis's house, Jiang Yu soon returned and, seeing that no one else was around, prepared to tell Lin Xiao what he had just learned. After returning to the house, Jiang Yu went to find Lin Xiao and Ling Zai. This matter was extremely important. If overheard by any of the villagers, they might never be allowed to leave this place. So, did you find out anything useful? Lin Xiao asked. Jiang Yu nodded. Yes. In fact, it might be very useful. You both need to listen carefully. Hearing this, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai nodded solemnly. I spoke with that boy earlier. He said his name is Zhao Yang. He told me not everyone in this village was always like this. When they were younger, they all had dreams. They wanted to travel the world, to explore and seek out new horizons. But now, somehow, all of his friends have turned into the same kind of people as the rest of the villagers. He's the only one left who still clings to those dreams. Lin Xiao and Ling Zai both fell into thought. It was certainly a sobering realization. If what Jiang Yu said was true, then there had to be more going on with Zhao Yang than met the eye. There must be something special about Zhao Yang, Lin Xiao murmured. How can he be the only one in the whole village who's still conscious of it all? Jiang Yu nodded in agreement. Whatever the reason, they had to focus on rescuing Liu Hai first. For now, our priority is to wake Liu Hai up. Everything else can wait. The key thing is that Zhao Yang said that if we agreed to take him with us when we leave, he'd help us bring Liu Hai back. Upon hearing that, Ling Zai and Lin Xiao exchanged glances. They had no better option. Zhao Yang understood the village better than anyone. Without his help, they might never reach Liu Hai. Fine, Lin Xiao said. We'll take Zhao Yang with us, but only if he succeeds in getting Liu Hai to snap back. If he fails, we leave him behind. Jiang Yu nodded. Don't worry. I've already told him that. Zhao Yang agreed. If we promise to take him, he'll help us without hesitation. That finally put Lin Xiao at ease. As long as Jiang Yu was certain of Zhao Yang's sincerity, they could proceed. Then, when do we start? It's about time Liu Hai saw this place for what it really is. Jiang Niu shook his head. I need to go speak with Zhao Yang again first. But before that, where is Liu Hai? He's not here. He's outside training, Ling Zai said, pointing to the open yard. Jiang Niu stared at her in disbelief. Liu Hai training? Are you serious? That didn't make sense. By now, Liu Hai should have fallen completely under the village's spell. Sluggish, lazy, certainly not training. What happened? Is he really getting better already? Ling Zai shook her head. It's because Lin Xiao beat him in a sparring match. He couldn't take the loss. Once he realized Lin Xiao had only been training for a month and still beat him, it hit him hard. Lin Xiao is honestly kind of a rare genius, she added. After losing to him, Liu Hai couldn't bring himself to slack off anymore. Jiang Niu turned to look at Lin Xiao, clearly stunned. You really beat him? You've become that strong? Lin Xiao nodded slowly. Jiang Niu didn't want to believe it, but the truth was right in front of him, and denial wouldn't change that. If you don't believe me, Lin Xiao started. No, I believe you. Jiang Niu interrupted, letting out a laugh. You're amazing, Lin Xiao. When am I going to get as strong as you? To think you improved this much in such a short time. Lin Xiao scratched his head in embarrassment. He clearly hadn't expected such praise from Jiang Niu. It's nothing, he muttered. You guys helped me out. You gave me all the leftover monsters to train with. After all, after hearing Lin Xiao's words, Jiang Niu recalled how they had handed all the monsters over to him. But even so, Lin Xiao truly had talent. He'd only reached this level through hard work and ability. Otherwise, no matter how many monsters they gave him, it wouldn't have made a difference. Lin Xiao, keep working hard. You'll definitely get stronger and stronger, Jiang Niu encouraged. Lin Xiao nodded, but now wasn't the time for praise. What they needed to do was check on Liu Hai. Lin Xiao wasn't convinced Liu Hai hadn't already fallen back into his lazy habits. We should go check on Liu Hai. I'm worried he got fired up for a moment and then lost motivation again. Jiang Niu agreed that Lin Xiao made a good point. If Liu Hai had already relapsed, that means he was still deeply under the village's spell. Since they were companions, they couldn't just let him fall apart. The three of them quickly made their way to the village entrance and found Liu Hai still training, definitely not slacking off. Seeing this, all three were relieved. Liu Hai wasn't lost yet. In that case, let him continue training here, Jiang Niu said. Let's go find Zhao Yang. If we're going to help Liu Hai, we need a proper plan. Lin Xiao and Ling Zai followed Jiang Niu's lead. Soon, they arrived at the agreed-upon meeting spot with Zhao Yang. Sure enough, Zhao Yang was still lounging there without a care, chewing on a blade of grass, looking completely at ease. There was something effortlessly cool and carefree about him. The group couldn't help but think that Zhao Yang was rather handsome like this, especially Ling Zai, who had rarely seen many boys before. Apart from Jiang Niu and the others, the only boys she'd met were Yao Gui's, and those were more mischievous than charming. Jiang Niu was the first to notice the way Ling Zai was staring. Amused, he teased, "All right, Ling Zai, stop staring. Your eyes are going glassy." Ling Zai pouted and looked away, but her gaze still sparkled with little stars. Lin Xiao glanced over at her with a look of disbelief, for this wasn't the Ling Zai he was used to. "What are you doing? You look ridiculous. Can't you act normal?" Ling Zai glared at him, feeling insulted. What part of her behavior wasn't normal? Wasn't it totally natural for a girl to admire a handsome guy? "What do you mean I'm not acting normal? Don't think just because your cultivation level's higher than mine, I can't deal with you. So what if you're stronger? I know brother Jiang Niu will take my side." Jiang Niu sighed as he watched the two of them bicker. It was always like this. Every argument somehow dragged him into the middle, and every time, the arguments made no sense. "All right, both of you, that's enough. We're here to talk about Liu Hai, remember?" he said with a hint of exasperation. With a grumble, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai each looked away in silence. Jiang Niu stepped forward with them and approached Zhao Yang. "You're here earlier than I thought," Zhao Yang said lazily. "So, have you made up your mind?" Jiang Niu nodded. Honestly, there wasn't much to think about. If Zhao Yang wanted to leave with them, that would be fine as long as he could help save Liu Hai. Of course, we've decided you can come with us, but only if you help bring Liu Hai back to his senses. Zhao Yang nodded, unsurprised. He knew full well that the reason the village had turned out like this was because of the people and the environment. But it wasn't hopeless, there was still a way to fix it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 grass seeds. Here, this is the method. Add 2 of these to his food each day. In 3 days, he'll snap out of it. Jiang Niu stared at the seeds in his hand, dumbfounded. He looked at Zhao Yang in disbelief. You're telling me this grass will save Liu Hai? Zhao Yang nodded confidently. Of course. Why else would I give it to you? Lin Xiao and Ling Zai bickering. Of course, Zhao Yang replied. I've never lied. Go ahead and try it out. If it doesn't work, I'll find you something else. It's not a big deal. Even so, Jiang Niu and the others still stared at the grass seeds in their palms with disbelief. The whole thing felt absurd. Are you sure about this? These just look like 2 ordinary blades of grass. I'm even starting to think you just plucked them off the ground, Jiang Niu said, doubtful, holding the seeds up for Zhao Yang to see. Zhao Yang gave a slight nod. I simply just plucked them. But they really have special properties. If it weren't for me eating these plants since I was little, I'd probably be just like everyone else here by now. Jiang Niu blinked, utterly dumbfounded. For a moment, it felt like Zhao Yang was playing a joke on them. But seeing the serious look on his face, he knew Zhao Yang wasn't joking. He meant every word, and these were things that had genuinely happened to him. That's incredible, Jiang Niu murmured. Just some wild herbs can undo all that. It really makes you think. Zhao Yang only gave a lazy nod and waved them off, lounging again against the tree trunk like there was nothing in the world worth worrying about. People like him were always unbothered by anything and never bound by circumstance, never weighed down by problems. Once they parted ways with Zhao Yang, the trio started discussing again. Do you really think that grass will work? Jiang Niu asked. Lin Xiao and Ling Xi shook their heads. They weren't sure if the grass would have any effect. If it worked, great. If not, well, they couldn't blame Zhao Yang. He'd done more than enough by offering a suggestion, even if he had his own motives. Let's just give it a try, Lin Xiao said. If Liu Hai hasn't recovered in 3 days, we'll go talk to him again. It was the only option they had. With no other ideas, they followed the plan. For the next 3 days, they quietly mixed the grass into Liu Hai's meals. On the 4th day, however, Liu Hai seemed no different than usual. He gave them a confused look, as if they were acting like fools. Why are you 3 staring at me like that? Don't recognize me anymore? He asked, baffled. Hearing that, all 3 of them broke into relieved laughter. It worked. Liu Hai was back to normal. Zhao Yang hadn't lied to them after all. The idling version of him was gone. Good, Jiang Niu said. We need to leave this village as soon as possible. This place numbs people, makes you want to stay without realizing it. Liu Hai nodded in agreement. Though the laziness and comfort had faded from him, the memories of the past few days still lingered. He hadn't forgotten. You're right. I remember everything clearly. If we stay here any longer, we'll lose our drive completely. And so, they prepared to leave the village. What they hadn't told Liu Hai yet was that they'd also decided to take Zhao Yang with them. When Liu Hai noticed their direction wasn't toward the village outskirts, he grew confused. Jiang Niu, where are we going? Aren't we supposed to be heading out? Why are we going deeper into the village? Oh, right. I forgot to tell you, Jiang Niu said, scratching his head. We're taking Zhao Yang with us. He's the one who gave us the method to wake you up. That was his condition. Liu Hai's eyes widened. You're telling me we're bringing someone with us from every place we pass through? He was half joking, teasing Jiang Niu as he imagined the comical scene, gathering a new person in every village until they were a traveling army. All right, Jiang Niu laughed. No need to get dramatic. He helped us, and he made a deal with us. We gave our word. What kind of people would we be if we went back on it? After hearing Jiang Niu's words, Liu Hai also understood there was no avoiding it now. Zhao Yang would be joining them when they leave the village. Since that was the case, there was nothing left to argue. This decision had already been nailed into place. Well then, we'd better leave quickly, Liu Hai said. If we wait any longer, I'm afraid we really won't be able to get out. This place is terrifying. It made us idle so much without even realizing it. Jiang Yu nodded. He hadn't expected this village to be so dangerous either. At first, they had thought it was the most peaceful place they had ever stayed in, but in the end, it had proven to be the one that almost pulled them in the deepest. The villages they'd visited before only tempted them with physical rest. This one had tempted them into spiritual complacency. And to cultivators like them, it was far more dangerous. As they spoke, the group walked over to Zhao Yang. The boy glanced at Liu Hai, now fully recovered, with a sly grin, then shot a smug look at Jiang Yu. "Well, I didn't lie to you, did I?" Zhao Yang said. "Told you your friend would snap out of it after eating that grass." "You guys just didn't believe me." Jiang Yu gave an embarrassed smile. "Anyone in our position would have had doubts. We had to be sure." Liu Hai's life was on the line. "Right," he continued sincerely, "now that Liu Hai's awake, thank you, Zhao Yang. I owe you an apology for my earlier doubts. Are you ready to leave with us?" "We plan to depart soon." Zhao Yang nodded and jumped down from the wall he'd been lounging on. "I already told you I'm coming with you. If you're all leaving, why would I stay behind?" he replied in his usual carefree tone. A style Liu Hai disliked immediately. In Liu Hai's eyes, people should be either upright and dependable like himself, or stoic and serious like Lin Xiao. This kind of loose, lazy attitude was the exact opposite of what he respected. "Jiang Yu, are we really bringing him with us?" Liu Hai frowned. "He doesn't exactly scream reliable. And don't forget, he's a villager here. Would his family even allow it?" "I remember him saying he tried to leave before and was stopped by his parents." Zhao Yang's expression darkened. He glared at Liu Hai, clearly angered. To him, Liu Hai's attitude was nothing short of biting the hand that fed him. If not for Zhao Yang's help, Liu Hai might still be trapped in that mind-numbing peace. "You've got a hell of a way with words," Zhao Yang snapped. "No sense of gratitude. If it weren't for me, you'd still be in a daze." "So this is how you treat the one who saved your life?" "Really?" Liu Hai's eyes grew sharp. "See? He's proving my point. One little comment and he explodes. If we bring him along, he's just going to be a liability. We've already got 4 people, and that's enough. No need to drag him into it." Zhao Yang's anger boiled over. He stared at the two of them with narrowed, reptilian eyes, his pupils slitting like a serpent about to strike. Sensing the shift in tension, Lin Xiao quickly stepped forward. "Enough, Liu Hai," he said. "Don't provoke him. The fact that he grew up in this village and still managed to keep his sense of self, that's not easy. If he wants to come with us and experience the outside world, then let him. If he changes his mind later, he can always turn back." Only after hearing Lin Xiao's words did the dangerous glint in Zhao Yang's eyes begin to fade. Yes, he'd let his temper get the better of him. He didn't even know if these people were truly trustworthy, yet he'd already exposed his temperament. If they were bad people, he would have been finished, and so would the entire village. "Fine," Liu Hai said at last. "If Lin Xiao's okay with it, then let's bring him along. It's not a big deal. We've already taken in this many people." "But I'm warning you," he added, casting Zhao Yang a sidelong glance. "Our group isn't that strong. Everyone has to rely on themselves. If you can't pull your weight, don't expect us to babysit you." Zhao Yang nodded lightly, though he didn't look Liu Hai in the eye. He still remembered what Liu Hai had said about not letting him come. Zhao Yang was the type to hold a grudge. When Jiang Yu saw the tension rise between Zhao Yang and Liu Hai, he wasn't too worried. He knew both of them were good at heart. After spending some time together, they'd come to understand each other's nature, and by then, any misunderstandings would naturally fade. All right, both of you, calm down," Jiang Yu said. "We need to leave this place as soon as possible. If we linger any longer, I'm worried the villagers will notice something." Zhao Yang nodded at his words but raised a hand to stop them. "You can't take me away just yet. There's someone I have to see first. Only after I've seen them can we leave." Liu Hai groaned in frustration. "Why are you dragging this out? Don't you know your villagers don't let outsiders leave? If you go visit someone now, aren't you just trying to trap us here?" Zhao Yang's face darkened. He found Liu Hai's accusations excessive. When had he ever acted like he didn't want to leave? If it weren't for that person, He wouldn't even risk returning to see them. I want to visit my grandmother. She's the one who encouraged me to leave in the first place. She doesn't want me trapped in this place forever. She told me that before I go, I must see her one last time here and bring my friends along. If I went to see her alone, others would start getting suspicious. Jiang Yu nodded solemnly. You're right. But are you sure your grandmother will still support you leaving with us? He asked. What if she tries to stop you, too? Then what? Zhao Yang fell silent. If even his grandmother turned against him, he truly wouldn't know what to believe anymore. All his life, she had been the one person supporting him. If even she had changed, then there really would be no one left in this world he could rely on. But no matter what, he had to go. He didn't want to be a frog trapped in a well. He refused to be caged here for the rest of his life. If even my grandmother disagrees, then we'll leave after seeing her. I won't wait here any longer. If you won't take me with you, I'll find my own way out someday. His eyes burned with determination, as if the outside world was calling to him with irresistible force. Seeing that, Jiang Yu and the others understood his resolve. Few people they'd met had such unwavering clarity about what they wanted. Very well, Jiang Yu said. With someone as focused as you joining us, we're honored. Let's go meet your grandmother. I'm curious to see what kind of remarkable woman raised someone like you. Jiang Yu smiled as he said this, sounding genuinely impressed, though in truth, he hadn't met the old woman yet. Still, Zhao Yang grinned broadly at his words. You'll like her, I promise, he said cheerfully. Jiang Yu and the others laughed when they heard Zhao Yang's words. Soon, Zhao Yang brought Jiang Yu and the others to his grandmother's home. Strangely enough, she didn't live with the rest of his family. Instead, she lived on the outskirts of the village, right at its edge. Jiang Yu and the others found this odd. It reminded them of the very first village they had passed through. Zhao Yang, Jiang Yu asked. Why does your grandmother live all the way out here? Isn't it inconvenient for an old lady? What if something happened to her? Zhao Yang shook his head. We tried to bring her home, but she insisted on living here. She just prefers this spot. Maybe because my grandfather used to live here. Jiang Yu nodded thoughtfully. I see. So it's love that keeps her here. Zhao Yang nodded back. In his eyes, his grandmother was a deeply sentimental and incredible person. Not only had she lived safely on the village's edge all these years, but she was also well respected by everyone in the village. Grandma, Zhao Yang called out as he entered the yard. My friends are here to meet you. I'm planning to leave with them. The old woman, upon hearing his voice, immediately burst into a hearty laugh. Zhao Yang, you've finally found your own friends. Now that you can leave with them, Grandma is truly happy, the old woman said with a warm smile. I no longer have to worry about your safety or your dreams. Hearing her words, Zhao Yang nodded and slowly crouched down in front of his grandmother. Grandma, I'm going to leave with them now. If anything happens, please be sure to go find my parents, he said softly. Don't worry, I'll definitely come back to this village. I'm just going to take a look at the world outside. Grandma nodded slowly. It's good for you to go out and see the world, to gain experience and broaden your horizons. Only those who leave and return understand just how precious this life truly is. Make sure you get along with these friends of yours. Remember not to act spoiled or be temperamental. Don't behave like you do at home. Zhao Yang nodded again. At that moment, his grandmother turned her gaze toward Jiang Yu and the others. You're taking Zhao Yang out into the world. Please, be patient with him. He's lived here his entire life and has never ventured out. It's only natural that he won't understand a lot of things. Teach him well, or he's a good child at heart. Jiang Yu nodded and, just like Zhao Yang, crouched in front of the old woman. Grandma, don't worry. I'll take good care of Zhao Yang, he said sincerely. We're friends. On this journey, we won't abandon or give up on each other. No matter what happens to him, we'll pull him back. Grandma nodded with approval. Good, good. That's good. As long as you treat him well, he won't disappoint you. Jiang Yu nodded again. He could tell that this grandmother was truly kind and understanding. She respected the will of her loved ones and never forced her opinions on others. Grandma, don't worry. We won't be disappointed in Zhao Yang. We'll definitely treat him well. Hearing his words, The old woman nodded once more and gently closed her eyes, a serene smile spreading across her face. If you're planning to leave, then go quickly. If you wait too long, you may not be able to leave at all. Jiang Niu and the others had wanted to stay with her a little longer, but after hearing those words, they were about to protest only for Zhao Yang to stop them. When Zhao Yang heard his grandmother say that, he knew she wasn't lying. If they didn't leave now, they might really never be able to. "Grandma, then we'll head out now," he said. "You take good care of yourself. I'll come visit you again when I return from the outside world." Grandma nodded once more, and Zhao Yang led Jiang Niu and the others away in a hurry. Jiang Niu and the others didn't understand why Zhao Yang was so anxious. Shouldn't he have stayed and spent more time with his grandmother? "Zhao Yang, why are you in such rush to leave?" Jiang Niu asked. "Shouldn't you spend more time with your grandmother? Who knows when you'll get to see her again?" Hearing Jiang Niu's confusion, Zhao Yang replied calmly. "Didn't Grandma already say it? If we don't leave now, we won't be able to leave at all. We have to listen to her. Whatever Grandma says always comes true." Jiang Niu and the others were stunned. Could she really be that powerful? Was she truly able to predict the future? No way. Grandma's really that amazing? Seeing Jiang Niu's skeptical reaction, Zhao Yang chuckled. He understood their disbelief. He hadn't believed it either at first. But after many experiences, he realized that everything his grandmother said would come true. From that point on, he dared not doubt her anymore. Anything she said, he would follow. "I'm serious. If you don't believe me, you'll see next time we come back. Everything Grandma says will come true." Jiang Niu and the others nodded. They sincerely hoped they would have the chance to witness that for themselves. "Well then, if we're lucky enough to return, we'll be sure to stay longer and see just how amazing your grandma really is." Zhao Yang nodded with a smile. At that moment, none of them knew once they stepped out of this place, the chance to return would become a distant luxury. After leaving the village, Jiang Niu and the others continued on their journey. As they walked, a group suddenly appeared ahead of them. The moment Jiang Niu laid eyes on the group, he knew they were enemies. But oddly enough, the group was made up mostly of women, all of them striking and imposing in their bearing, completely different from Ling Zai's type. Liu Hai stared blankly at the sight. He'd grown used to Ling Zai's gentle demeanor and now found himself powerless against these strong, valiant women. Seeing their formation, Liu Hai couldn't help but suggest, "Jiang Niu, why don't we travel with them? Look, they're heading the same direction." Jiang Niu didn't need to guess what Liu Hai was thinking. His expression alone was enough to betray his intentions. "Liu Hai, could you stop embarrassing yourself?" Jiang Niu snapped. "You think I don't know what's going on in your head? You're clearly smitten by this group of beauties." Embarrassed after being seen through, Liu Hai could only chuckle awkwardly. Jiang Niu never believed this group of women would be easy to deal with. He was all too familiar with the saying, "Lust leads to death." "Liu Hai, don't forget a beauty draws blood. If you invite them in, don't come crying when they turn on you." Women, more often than not, strike the hardest. If you dare cross them, they won't let you off easy. Liu Hai shivered involuntarily after hearing Jiang Niu's warning. Come to think of it, Jiang Niu did have a point. It probably wasn't a good idea to provoke these people. "You're right, Jiang Niu. Let's not mess with them. No matter what they say, we won't bring them along." Jiang Niu nodded. The group continued walking forward. But just as they pressed on, something unexpected happened and the group of beautiful women turned and began heading straight toward them. Seeing Jiang Niu's team, the women smiled faintly. In their eyes, this group was already in the bag. "If we kill them, do you think our cultivation levels will rise?" one of them asked casually. "They're just a bunch of men. Shouldn't take much effort." The others nodded in agreement. "Big sis, you're absolutely right. These men will probably be too distracted by our beauty to think straight. Even though a girl is traveling with them, she doesn't look like much of a threat." Their leader nodded, clearly confident in their looks and charm. They had expected those men to approach them first. But to their surprise, Jiang Niu's team walked past them without a glance and left. That unexpected reaction made the women fume. Their eyes were practically spitting sparks. But they weren't too bothered. If those men dared act that way, It only meant they had the nerve to back it up. I can't believe they didn't fall for our looks. Are there really men in this world who don't care about a woman's appearance? Impossible. All men are lecherous. They're just playing hard to get to draw our attention. The leader shook her head. Either way, they're our target. Doesn't matter who makes the first move. The others nodded once again, convinced by her reasoning. Soon, the group of women approached Jiang Nu's team. Seeing this, Jiang Nu and the others grew immediately wary. One of the women called out sweetly, "You all look like you're headed the same way. Why not join our groups? It'd be safer to travel together. It's a bit risky for so many girls to go alone." Jiang Nu's mouth twitched at the words. He didn't see what was so unsafe about them traveling together. "That won't be necessary," he replied flatly. "We already have enough people in our group. Besides, none of us are particularly strong cultivators. Even if we travel together, we couldn't guarantee your safety." The woman's gaze turned venomous for a brief second, but then it was gone, replaced by a sweet smile as though nothing had happened. Jiang Nu hadn't seen the look, but he still felt a prickling unease crawl over him. Ling Zai had seen it, though. Her expression darkened instantly. That look confirmed it. These women were trouble. "We already said no," she snapped. "So why are you still pestering us? Our cultivation levels aren't high. We wouldn't be able to protect your safety. You'd best find another group to accompany you." When the group of women heard Ling Zai say this, they assumed she was just jealous. Ling Zai took a completely different route from Thema soft and cuter, whereas their group was full of bold and commanding queen-like women. The woman at the front curled her red lips into a smile and looked at Ling Zai with amusement. "Little sister, don't be so hot-tempered. Girls should be gentle, you know. Men tend to like sweet-tempered women." Ling Zai glanced uncertainly at Jiang Nu and the others. She had asked them to let her join, and if they abandoned her now, she wouldn't know what to do. Jiang Nu, seeing Ling Zai like this, immediately pulled her behind him. "I don't think that's a fair generalization. Not all men like gentle women. Even if they did, what does that have to do with you?" The lead woman's expression twisted with anger. They had always relied on their beauty to seduce countless men, many of whom had ended up as nothing more than corpses under their feet. But now, in front of Jiang Nu and his group, that very beauty seemed to have lost its power. "You, Mana, can't you see what we're good for? We're so beautiful, and you're completely indifferent?" Jiang Nu let out a snort of laughter. Beautiful? These women were just dressed provocatively. True beauty was either someone like Ling Zai or a dignified noblewoman. These women looked more like brothel girls. How could they call themselves beautiful? People ought to have a bit of self-awareness. With how you look, who would like you? And those outfits? Anyone who didn't know better would think you were working in a brothel. The moment Lin Xiao said this, Jiang Nu couldn't help laughing. He hadn't expected Lin Xiao to be so sharp-tongued. He'd always thought Lin Xiao was the quiet, reserved type. The group of women, upon hearing Lin Xiao's words, looked like they wanted to rip him to pieces. "Didn't expect you to be so foul-mouthed," one of them snapped. "I'd suggest you apologize quickly or there will be consequences." Lin Xiao merely glanced at them silently, making it clear he had no intention of apologizing. The women looked like they were about to explode, fists clenched, and teeth grinding. Even Jiang Nu and the others thought Lin Xiao had gone a little too far. Sure, everything he said was true, but it wasn't something he should have said aloud in front of a group of women. They had their pride, after all. "Lin Xiao, come on. They're still girls. You should give them a little leeway." The group of women nodded approvingly at Jiang Nu's words. "But even if they're like that, you didn't need to say it outright. Let them save some face," he added. Originally, the women had thought Jiang Nu was a decent guy who'd stood up for them, but hearing his last remark made the corners of their mouths twitch. It was now painfully obvious that none of these people were easy to deal with. Since that was the case, there was no point pretending anymore. They'd just kill this group and be done with it. "You really want to keep arguing with us? I'm telling you, the last guy who talked like that to us is already 6 feet under. If you know what's good for you, apologize." Now, Jiang Nu and the others completely ignored them, clearly preparing to walk away. But how could those women possibly let them leave so easily? "Are you really ignoring our words?" The lead woman reached out to block them, but Jiang Nu slapped her hand away without hesitation. You're the ones throwing yourselves at the muzzle of the gun. Why are you acting like we're the ones insulting you? Don't forget, you're the ones who started this. What does that have to do with us? Just a bunch of self-entitled clowns, dancing up and down for attention. Hearing such outrageous words, the women couldn't hold back any longer. They were ready to teach Jiang Nu a harsh lesson. Our cultivation levels aren't high. We wouldn't be able to protect your safety. You'd best find another group to accompany you. When the group of women heard Ling Zai say this, they assumed she was just jealous. Ling Zai took a completely different route from Thema soft and cuter, whereas their group was full of bold and commanding queen-like women. The woman at the front curled her red lips into a smile and looked at Ling Zai with amusement. Little sister, don't be so hot-tempered. Girls should be gentle, you know. Men tend to like sweet-tempered women. Ling Zai glanced uncertainly at Jiang Nu and the others. She had asked them to let her join, and if they abandoned her now, she wouldn't know what to do. Jiang Nu, seeing Ling Zai like this, immediately pulled her behind him. I don't think that's a fair generalization. Not all men like gentle women. Even if they did, what does that have to do with you? The lead woman's expression twisted with anger. They had always relied on their beauty to seduce countless men, many of whom had ended up as nothing more than corpses under their feet. But now, in front of Jiang Nu and his group, that very beauty seemed to have lost its power. You, Mano, can't you see what we're good for? We're so beautiful, and you're completely indifferent? Jiang Nu let out a snort of laughter. Beautiful? These women were just dressed provocatively. True beauty was either someone like Ling Zai or a dignified noblewoman. These women looked more like brothel girls. How could they call themselves beautiful? People ought to have a bit of self-awareness. With how you look, who would like you? And those outfits. Anyone who didn't know better would think you were working in a brothel. The moment Lin Xiao said this, Jiang Nu couldn't help laughing. He hadn't expected Lin Xiao to be so sharp-tongued. He'd always thought Lin Xiao was the quiet, reserved type. The group of women, upon hearing Lin Xiao's words, looked like they wanted to rip him to pieces. Didn't expect you to be so foul-mouthed, one of them snapped. I'd suggest you apologize quickly or there will be consequences. Lin Xiao merely glanced at them silently, making it clear he had no intention of apologizing. The women looked like they were about to explode, fists clenched, and teeth grinding. Even Jiang Nu and the others thought Lin Xiao had gone a little too far. Sure, everything he said was true, but it wasn't something he should have said aloud in front of a group of women. They had their pride, after all. Lin Xiao, come on. They're still girls. You should give them a little leeway. The group of women nodded approvingly at Jiang Nu's words. But even if they're like that, you didn't need to say it outright. Let them save some face, he added. Originally, the women had thought Jiang Nu was a decent guy who'd stood up for them, but hearing his last remark made the corners of their mouths twitch. It was now painfully obvious that none of these people were easy to deal with. Since that was the case, there was no point pretending anymore. They'd just kill this group and be done with it. You really want to keep arguing with us? I'm telling you, the last guy who talked like that to us is already 6 feet under. If you know what's good for you, apologize. Now, Jiang Nu and the others completely ignored them, clearly preparing to walk away. But how could those women possibly let them leave so easily? Are you really ignoring our words? The lead woman reached out to block them, but Jiang Nu slapped her hand away without hesitation. You're the ones throwing yourselves at the muzzle of the gun. Why are you acting like we're the ones insulting you? Don't forget, you're the ones who started this. What does that have to do with us? Just a bunch of self-entitled clowns, dancing up and down for attention. Hearing such outrageous words, the women couldn't hold back any longer. They were ready to teach Jiang Nu a harsh lesson. When Jiang Nu and the others saw the women behaving so arrogantly, they decided it was time to teach them a proper lesson. At that moment, Liu Hai stepped forward and said to the group, "You all don't need to step in for this one. It's just a group of women. I can handle them myself." Jiang Nu, hearing Liu Hai speak with such confidence, nodded and stepped aside, giving him space. Liu Hai stepped forward and faced the group of women head-on, his expression stern and unwavering. He looked as though he truly saw them as enemies. "You really think you can take on all of us by yourself? One of the women scoffed. "Are you actually under the impression that you're someone impressive?" Hearing how little they thought of him, Liu Hai had no interest in holding back anymore. So what if he wasn't good looking? That didn't mean he deserved to be looked down on. At that moment, Ling Zai came beside Liu Hai and said encouragingly, "Liu Hai, do your best and defeat them. Don't let us down." Liu Hai nodded, then turned to face the women with a serious gaze. One of them stepped forward. She introduced herself as the fourth sister. "You alone want to challenge all 5 of us? Aren't you being a little too arrogant? I'm the weakest among us. If you can defeat me, then maybe you'll be qualified to challenge my sisters." Liu Hai nodded in response. He didn't care who he fought. In his eyes, every last one of them would be defeated by his hand anyway. It didn't matter where he started. "I have no particular thoughts about who I fight first. Regardless, you'll all be defeated. Whoever shows up, it makes no difference to us." Fourth sister was infuriated by Liu Hai's arrogance. Without hesitation, she drew her sword and lunged toward him. But Liu Hai swiftly dodged her strike without even needing to draw his broadsword. After sidestepping the attack, he struck her with his palm, sending her flying backward with ease. It looked almost effortless, but only Liu Hai knew how much force she had put into that blow. If he hadn't been vigilant, he might have been knocked flat on the ground just now. Fortunately, he had always been cautious in battle, otherwise, this would have ended badly for him. "I didn't expect you to be this strong," the fourth sister said. "But being a little strong isn't enough. Either you kill us now, or we'll be the ones to kill you." Liu Hai snorted coldly. "You think a bunch of rabble like you is enough to scare me? Bring more of your sisters if you want. We're not afraid of any of you." Her face contorted in fury at the insult. It was clear that Liu Hai had thoroughly offended the sisterhood. There was no more reason to hold back, or they were going to kill him. In that case, she spat. "There's no reason to keep playing around." With that, she began swinging her sword, launching into a flurry of strikes with her personal technique. Seeing this, Liu Hai finally drew his broadsword and met her head-on. He had trained with Jiang Niu and the others and had taken his fair share of beatings from the class leader. There was no way he'd be helpless against this kind of opponent. The truth was, he had only held back earlier to give her a chance. But now she was pushing her luck. Their weapons clashed in a flurry of sparks, their conflict fierce and uncompromising. Fourth sister unleashed her prized technique, Frost Edge Swordplay. It was her signature style, the technique she was most proud of. But against Liu Hai, it wasn't even worth mentioning. To him, her attacks were child's play. He'd seen countless sword styles far more refined than hers. He didn't even have to use any real swordsmanship. He simply shattered her blade with a single strike. She stared at him, dumbfounded, watching her broken sword fall to the ground. Her fellow sisters were equally stunned. They never expected fourth sister's weapon to break so easily. To them, their weapons were like their lives. Without them, they were nothing. And in front of someone like Liu Hai, if he wanted to kill them, it would be all too easy. The group of women looked at Jiang Niu and the others with foul expressions. But Jiang Niu and the rest had no intention of killing them. As upright men, they simply couldn't bring themselves to strike women. If someone had to act, it would have to be Linxia, but she stood no chance against them. "What are you still standing around for? Get lost, or are you really going to wait for us to kill you?" Ling Zai said arrogantly, glaring at the group of women. Her attitude practically begged for a beating. The women were stunned by her words. They hadn't expected Jiang Niu and the others actually to let them go. "You're really just going to let us off like this?" their leader asked in disbelief. Jiang Niu nodded calmly. "We don't have any intention of killing women like you. Now leave, quickly." The leader nodded but didn't offer a word of thanks. She only felt looked down on, as though Jiang Niu's mercy was an insult. If they hadn't thought so little of her, they wouldn't have spared her life. There was no way she'd feel grateful over this. If they crossed paths again, she would show no mercy. "Sisters, let's go." And with that, the group of women left. But Jiang Niu could never have expected that their entanglement with these women was far from over. They would meet again soon. Once the group of women had disappeared from sight, Ling Zai finally let out a quiet breath of relief. At that moment, Lin Xiao noticed her reaction and sensed something was wrong. He felt there was no need for Ling Zai to be so afraid. To him, she was a lovely girl in her own right, There was absolutely no need to compare herself to that other group. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something about Lingzai had changed. She seemed downcast now, far different from her usual lively self. Lin Xiao had a sharp intuition. His instincts rarely failed him. "Lingzai, what's wrong? Why do you look so down?" he asked. Jiang Niu and the others turned toward Lingzai as well. They, too, noticed something was off. Normally, Lingzai would be full of energy by now. "Yeah, Lingzai, what's going on?" Jiang Niu asked. "You're usually the happiest one among us." But Lingzai couldn't lift her spirits. She wanted to ask, did men like them really prefer women like that domineering group from before? "Do you think those older sisters were prettier than me? Compared to them, I just feel like a child." Jiang Niu hadn't expected this question from Lingzai, especially not delivered so earnestly. It caught him off guard, and honestly, it was kind of funny. "There's no need to compare yourself to them. You're not even the same type. You've got the cute charm, they're more of the A-dominant queen type. Two different styles, that's all." Lingzai didn't fully understand what Jiang Niu meant by dominant queen, but somehow, she felt that it was the kind of style men would like more. Certainly more than someone like her. "Then, would you guys like those kinds of women more than me?" she asked softly. "Please don't abandon me, okay? I can become cool and elegant too." Jiang Niu was stunned. It was the first time he'd seen Lingzai show such a deep sense of insecurity. "Lingzai, you don't have to do that," he said. "You're our friend. You're a part of our team. No matter what happens, we'll never leave you behind." "Have you forgotten the promise I made with the Yao Guis?" Lingzai gave a tiny nod, still unsure of herself. Lin Xiao, watching this whole exchange, felt like Jiang Niu was just making things worse by overloading Lingzai's mind. "All right, enough," he said. "Don't overthink it. No matter how hard you try, you're never going to be like them. Your brain doesn't have that kind of capacity. Stop overloading it with complicated thoughts." Lingzai immediately shot him a glare, completely forgetting her earlier worries. "What do you mean by that, Lin Xiao? Are you looking down on me? I'm super smart, okay?" Seeing her fired up like that, Lin Xiao knew his job was done. She'd already forgotten all those insecure thoughts. He hadn't meant to mock her. He liked this version of Lingzai, someone who didn't hold on to sadness too long, someone who couldn't dwell on heavy thoughts. Sometimes, he even wished he could be like Kira, carefree and cheerful. But that could never be. His life had already been set on a path long ago. "Wasn't my sarcasm obvious enough for you to pick up on?" Lin Xiao said coldly. As soon as Lingzai heard that, she started chasing after him to hit him. But Lin Xiao didn't move. He stood there quietly, letting her vent her frustration however she liked. Once Lingzai had finally calmed down, she looked at Lin Xiao with a hint of awkwardness. She understood why he'd done that, and she was grateful. "Lin Xiao. Thank you," she said softly. Upon hearing her words, Lin Xiao turned his gaze away brusquely, as if completely dismissing her gratitude. But Lingzai knew he'd accepted it. She'd already seen the faint flush creeping up his ears. Watching all this, Liu Hai felt deeply wronged. He was the one who had driven off that group of women. Why was Lingzai thanking Lin Xiao instead of him? "Lingzai, don't you think this is a bit unfair?" Liu Hai complained. "Wasn't I the one who chased those women off? Shouldn't you be thanking me instead?" Lingzai turned toward him with a smile, suddenly realizing that everything just now had indeed been thanks to Liu Hai. Yes, you're right. I should really thank you, Liu Hai. If it weren't for you, I would have been crushed by that group of women." Seeing Lingzai smile at him like that, Liu Hai felt warmth bloom in his chest. He might not be particularly into her type, but he couldn't deny that Lingzai stirred up a strong urge to protect her. She looked like a little sister in need of care, fragile yet tenacious, like a delicate flower grown in a greenhouse, now just learning to weather the storm. "All right, that's enough," Jiang Niu interjected. "Let's stop talking and get moving." With that, the five of them continued their journey. Soon, they arrived at the foot of a mountain. By now, the sky had already darkened, and it was too late to keep going. They had no choice but to set up camp and spend the night here. "It's getting late. We'll rest here for the night and continue tomorrow," Jiang Niu said. Everyone nodded in agreement. Even Xiao Yang had no objections. Since no one disagrees, Let's gather some firewood first to keep warm, Jiang Yu continued. The team quickly split up to handle their tasks. Ling Zai and Lin Xiao went into the forest to look for food. Liu Hai went to search for a water source, while Jiang Niu and Cao Yang stayed nearby to gather firewood. Jiang Niu and Cao Yang were the first to return and had already lit a fire by the time Liu Hai came back. Meanwhile, Ling Zai and Lin Xiao were still in the forest, where they'd found a good number of edible fruits. Ling Zai was overjoyed. Ever since they'd left the mountain, she hadn't had a chance to eat wild fruit like this. Lin Xiao, don't these berries look tasty? They're so red and shiny. I bet they're delicious. Lin Xiao gave her a blank stare. If you want to die, go ahead and eat it. I'm sure it tastes great. No one's ever tried it and lived. His voice was cold and indifferent, as if he didn't care one bit whether she lived or died. Startled by his tone, Ling Zai took 2 steps back in fright. She hadn't expected the berry to be that dangerous. You're not kidding, are you? Would it really kill me? Lin Xiao didn't bother replying. He'd already warned her. If she chose not to listen, there wasn't anything he could do. As they walked together, they soon reached another tree. Ling Zai spotted some ripe plums hanging from its branches. They looked delicious and safe enough. How about these plums? They don't look poisonous, she asked. If you're not afraid of dying, then go ahead and try one. I don't know either, Lin Xiao replied dryly. This kind of exchange had become all too common between them. After a while, Ling Zai stopped trying to ask him. It seemed like everything she wanted to eat was probably poisonous in Lin Xiao's eyes. Seeing her go quiet, Lin Xiao smirked. He knew she'd finally conceded. He stopped beneath another tree and pointed upward. Following his gesture, Ling Zai looked up and saw it was full of bright red fruit, all of it plump and tempting. But this time, she didn't dare act on her own anymore. Lin Xiao, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to tell me that the fruit on this tree is edible? Lin Xiao nodded at her question. It seemed Ling Zai wasn't entirely foolish. Yes, the fruit on this tree is safe to eat. Go ahead and pick some. Hearing his response, Ling Zai thought he was being incredibly cold. I'm a girl, she thought. Shouldn't he be the one picking the fruit for me? You want me to go pick it? She asked incredulously. Lin Xiao nodded with perfect calm, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. If not you, then who? Me? He replied, completely unbothered and seemingly unaware of the implications behind his words. His nonchalant attitude was enough to send Ling Zai fuming. She couldn't believe Lin Xiao was being so unmanly. Shouldn't this kind of thing be your job? I'm a girl, for heaven's sake. Shouldn't the guy do it? Lin Xiao looked at her seriously. He was the one who had found the fruit and naturally, Ling Zai should do her part. Otherwise, why had she come with him in the first place? You came out here with me to find food. I discovered this fruit tree. It's only fair if you contribute something. You should be the one climbing up to pick them. Ling Zai stared at him in disbelief. She felt utterly defeated by his logic. Clearly, in Lin Xiao's eyes, there was no such thing as gender roles, only equality. Lin Xiao, I'm honestly amazed by you. You're something else. Fine. This lady won't stoop to your level. I'll pick them myself. Fortunately, Ling Zai was a big-hearted girl, and having grown up in the forest, she loved climbing trees. Soon, she had picked a large number of fruits, tossing them down one by one to Lin Xiao. He struggled to keep up. When he couldn't hold any more, he frowned. That's enough. Don't pick any more. Hearing his words, Ling Zai gave a soft pout but obediently climbed back down. Once she was on the ground, Lin Xiao handed her a portion of the fruits he'd caught. Then, the two of them made their way back to camp. When they returned, they found that Liu Hai hadn't just brought back water, he had even caught a couple of fish. Ling Zai immediately bounded over to his side, amazed. Liu Hai, you're incredible. You went out just to find water and came back with 2 fish? That's amazing. You really are impressive. Unlike me, Lin Xiao and I only managed to get some fruit. And honestly, that was thanks to him. Hearing Ling Zai's words, Liu Hai could tell she was feeling a little down. There was no need for that. Liu Hai simply had more experience with water, while Ling Zai understood the forest better. It's okay. We have food now, so no need to compare. You must be hungry. right? Come sit down and eat. This fish is fresh off the fire. Ling Zai smiled warmly and nodded. Her worries were gone in a flash. That was just how she was, never holding on to anything for long. Once something was said aloud, she let it go. And so, in this way, the team spent their first night camping at the foot of the mountain. Jiang Niu and the others had no idea that this sort of lifestyle would soon become a common occurrence. Over time, they would gain more and more experience in how to deal with the unexpected dangers of life in the wilderness. Later that night, deep in their sleep, a wolf's howl rang out suddenly, jolting Jiang Niu awake. He opened his eyes to find the area around them surrounded by wolves. One by one, the others woke up, each growing alarmed at the sight. Ling Zai, being a girl and a foxer, had no ability to defend herself against wolves. She had no choice but to huddle in the center while the four men stood protectively around her. But strangely, the wolves didn't attack. Instead, they turned their attention toward Jiang Niu, howling in his direction. Awoo. Jiang Niu had a strange feeling that they were trying to communicate with each other, but he had no idea what they meant. Are you trying to tell me something? He asked aloud. I don't understand your language, though. What are you trying to say? Then, he glanced over at Ling Zai. She's a beast too, a fox guai. Maybe she can talk to them? Noticing his gaze, Ling Zai quickly raised her hand in defense. Don't look at me. I have no idea what they're saying. Just because I'm a beast, it doesn't mean I can speak wolf. Jiang Niu nodded at Ling Zai's comment, realizing he had indeed acted in desperation. While they were all beasts, each belonged to a different race, so of course their languages weren't mutually intelligible. At that moment, Lin Xiao seemed to sense something. The lead wolf appeared extremely agitated, pacing restlessly as if there was something urgent it needed their help with. Lin Xiao quietly walked over to Jiang Niu and shared his thoughts. Jiang Niu, I think the wolf pack needs our help. The alpha looks nervous and keeps pacing back and forth. It's very possible it wants us to follow it somewhere. Jiang Niu followed Lin Xiao's gaze to the lead wolf. As expected, the wolf was just as Lin Xiao described, a restless, clearly anxious. Do you need our help? Jiang Niu asked. Surprisingly, the wolf nodded at him and howled twice at the sky. Awoo. The moment Jiang Niu heard the howls, he suddenly understood. The alpha really does need our help. Let's go with them. I think something's happened to the mother wolves. Otherwise, the pack wouldn't be acting like this. The others nodded. While they weren't particularly afraid of the wolves, the creatures have never shown any signs of aggression. Now they were actively seeking help. It would be wrong to ignore them. You're right. We should do what we can, Liu Hai said. Without delay, the group followed the wolves deep into the forest. Soon, they were led to the entrance of a cave. From inside, they could hear faint whimpering sounds. It was exactly as they had suspected. Something had gone wrong. Was it a difficult labor? As the group hesitated at the cave's mouth, the alpha wolf gave them a hard shove, nudging them inside. Jiang Niu and the others could only stumble forward, half laughing, half exasperated. But once they stepped inside, the air was thick with the metallic scent of blood. They didn't know where it came from, but forced themselves to press on. When they reached the deepest part of the cave, they saw the saucier. Over a dozen mother wolves were in labor, and all them were experiencing complications. Jiang Niu and the others froze, stunned by the sight. None of them had the faintest idea how to assist in something like this. What were they supposed to do? Just stand here and watch? Ling Zai looked on with heartache. These wolves were fighting with everything they had to bring new life into the world. Yet clearly something was going very wrong. Jiang Niu, she said, her voice soft, we have to help them. They're suffering so much. Jiang Niu understood how she felt, but none of them had any knowledge or experience with this. How exactly were they supposed to help? I want to help too, he said, but we don't even know where to begin. What can we possibly do? Ling Zai fell silent as well. She had no answer. Her only hope now was Lin Xiao. He was the most intelligent among them. If anyone could think of something, it was him. Lin Xiao, she turned to him, her voice laced with urgency. Is there anything you can do? These poor mother wolves, they're in much pain. When Lin Xiao saw Ling Zai looking at him with such pleading eyes, something stirred unexpectedly in his heart. She looked so earnest, so vulnerably it made him want to protect her. "If I'm not wrong," Ling Xiao said calmly, "the difficulty is caused by exhaustion. Their strength has run out, and that's what's making labor impossible. What we can do is transfer some of our inner energy into them. That should give them the strength they need to deliver safely." Jiang Niu turned to him in shock. He hadn't expected Ling Xiao to know this sort of thing at all. But now that they had a method, there was no time to waste. Everyone sprang into action. They didn't want to stand by and watch these wolves die helplessly. Every life has the right to be born into this world. Every life deserves dignity. "Yes," Jiang Niu said firmly. "We have to help them bring all those pups into the world. It's our responsibility to do so." Seeing how eager Jiang Niu and Ling Zai were to help, Ling Xiao didn't say much. He simply sat down quietly and began to focus his energy. Upon noticing Ling Xiao taking action, Liu Hai and Zhao Yang also began to help without hesitation. Though the act of transferring inner energy consumed a bit of their strength, it wasn't a problem for Jiang Niu and the others. All they needed to do was infuse a portion of their spiritual power into the mother wolves. Before long, with their aid, several of the mother wolves successfully gave birth to their pups. When the alpha wolf outside heard the cries of newborn pups echoing from the cave, he howled toward the sky in joy. A woo a woo a woo a woo tilde. The heartfelt howl brought smiles to Jiang Niu and the others. It was the first life they had helped usher into the world, and not one of them found the creatures repulsive or strange. Every life born into this world was beautiful, worthy of being cherished and protected. Jiang Niu, Ling Xiao, look. Ling Zai pointed excitedly. "These wolf pups are so pretty. I want to take one home and raise it." Her spontaneous remark instantly caught the attention of the other mother wolves, who now eyed Ling Zai with intense wariness. The message was clear: if she even thought about taking one of their pups, they wouldn't hesitate to attack. Seeing the shift in the atmosphere, Ling Xiao quickly pulled Ling Zai behind him. "Could you maybe think before you speak?" he said with a sigh. "You really want to bring that up in front of the mothers? Do you have a death wish?" Startled, Ling Zai glanced at the wolves again, only to find them glaring at her with bloodthirsty hostility. She took 2 instinctive steps back, genuinely unnerved by how vicious the mothers now looked. She hadn't expected them to be so aggressive. Jiang Niu and the others couldn't help laughing, though none of them believed Ling Zai had meant it seriously. Still, to put the wolves at ease, they played along and scolded her theatrically. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Jiang Niu chided. "These pups were born after great hardship. If you even think about stealing one, I'll break your legs myself." Hearing that, the mother wolves visibly relaxed. Their sharp gazes softened, and they even closed their eyes as if trusting Jiang Niu would protect their young. Jiang Niu and the others gently placed the newborn pups beside their mothers before stepping out of the cave. Outside, the rest of the wolves looked toward Jiang Niu and his team with deep gratitude in their eyes. "All the mother wolves have given birth safely," Jiang Niu said. "You don't have to worry anymore. It's late, and we'd like to rest for the night here in your territory. I hope you won't mind." The alpha wolf stepped forward and parted the pack, clearing a path for them. It seemed he wanted to lead them somewhere. Jiang Niu and the others caught on quickly and followed him without hesitation. Soon, they arrived at a large cave deeper within the mountains. To their surprise, the cave had several simple wooden beds constructed inside. Seeing this left the group slightly stunned. None of them had expected to find such human-like accommodations in a wolf den. "Wow!" Liu Hai exclaimed. "Jiang Niu, can you believe it? These wolves actually know how to live in comfort. They've even built makeshift beds." "Well," he chuckled, "no need to be polite. Then, we've been running around all day. Time to get some proper rest." Jiang Niu nodded in agreement. The group picked their spots and lay down for the night. By the time morning came, the sky was bright, and the entire wolf pack stood vigilantly outside the cave. When Jiang Niu and the others stepped out, they were met with a striking sight: dozens of wolves standing tall, regal, and full of strength. Anyone else who saw this might have been terrified, but not Jiang Niu's group. After all, they had just saved the mother wolves. To the pack, Jiang Niu and the others were like familiar saviors who gave them a second life. Sure enough, the alpha wolf stepped forward again, this time dragging several freshly hunted beasts to their feet. He nudged the carcasses toward Jiang Nu, clearly offering them as a gesture of thanks. Jiang Nu and the others smiled. They could easily help themselves if they wanted to, but those mother wolves needed nourishment far more. "Thank you," Jiang Nu said gently. "But we don't need this. Please give it all to the mothers. They'll need the strength to feed their young." When the alpha wolf heard Jiang Nu's words, he didn't take the hint. He simply pushed the pile of meat even closer toward them. Seeing this, Zhao Yang realized that if Jiang Nu kept refusing, the wolves might end up confused and distressed. "Jiang Nu, maybe we shouldn't turn it down," Zhao Yang advised. "If we keep rejecting them, they might not know what to do and stress out. Let's just accept a portion and give the rest to the mother wolves. We only need enough for ourselves anyway. Besides, we're about to set off again. We might as well eat before we go." Jiang Nu nodded in agreement. What Zhao Yang said made sense, so he casually picked up a few rabbits from the pile and began roasting them over the fire. The scent that soon filled the air was irresistible, especially to the wolves, who had never experienced food prepared like this. But none of them dared to make a move. They all knew that Jiang Nu and his group were their saviors. After Jiang Nu and the others finished eating, they brought the rest of the hunted meat to the mother wolves. The wolves looked at them with eyes full of deep gratitude. Their gaze lingered, as if they were engraving Jiang Nu and his companions' faces into memory, determined to repay this kindness if ever given the chance. Jiang Nu didn't care to guess what exactly the wolves were thinking. He simply patted them gently and said, "We're leaving now. Take care of yourselves and make sure to eat well. These are your share of the spoils. If anyone tries to steal your food, don't hold back, fight for it." The mother wolves nodded, and a few even licked Jiang Nu's palm in reluctant farewell. He could feel their attachment, but he knew staying wasn't an option. Lingering here would do no one any good. They had to keep moving. Liu Hai, unable to bear the scene any longer, stepped in and said, "Jiang Nu, we should get going. If we don't leave soon, these mother wolves might end up handing us their pups." Jiang Nu chuckled, nodded, and turned to leave with the group. What they didn't know was that this act of kindness would one day save their lives when they would find themselves besieged and surrounded. It would be wolf packs like these that would come to their aid. But that would be a story for much later. Not long after leaving the wolf pack, Jiang Nu suddenly received a notification. He had been gifted a special technique from the Wolverser, an exclusive skill unique to the Wolf clan. Upon seeing the name, Jiang Nu immediately understood. This must be the technique those wolves used for high-speed evasion. If they learned to cultivate it, it would greatly boost their ability to escape and maneuver. He glanced around and saw that the others had likely received the same notification. "You guys got the wolf pack's gift too, didn't you?" "What we should do now is find time to cultivate this skill. That way, we won't be dragging anyone down if we need to run." Lin Xiao and the others nodded solemnly in agreement. But this raised a question: should they start cultivating immediately? Perhaps it would be better to wait until they reached the next city and could rest safely at an inn. "I say we keep moving for now," Liu Hai suggested. "Once we reach a town, we can check into an inn and spend a couple of days cultivating. I just don't feel safe doing that in the wild." Jiang Nu fully agreed. They had already experienced enough trouble while out in the wilderness. He wasn't about to risk more danger now. With that, the group picked up the pace and continued onward. 2 days passed before they finally reached the next city. It was bustling with life. Vendors shouted in every street and alley, creating a lively and colorful atmosphere like an entirely different world compared to where they had just come from. "Whoa! This place is so busy. I've never seen anything like this," Zhao Yang marveled. Jiang Nu and the others smiled knowingly. They all understood as Zhao Yang had spent most of his life in the peaceful little friendly village. Now that he was finally out exploring the world, everything was fresh and fascinating to him. As they passed a candied haw vendor, Jiang Nu bought 5 sticks and handed one to each of them. Zhao Yang took a bite, and his eyes lit up. So this was what sour sweet happiness tasted like. He'd never tasted anything like it before. Seeing the happiness and satisfaction on Zhao Yang and Ling Zai's faces, Liu Hai couldn't help but look at them with mild disdain. He couldn't believe that neither of them had ever eaten something as common as candied hawthorn before. It was honestly a little pitiful, so much so that even Liu Hai felt a twinge of sympathy. "Zhao Yang, Ling Zai, have you two really never had this before?" he asked. "You're both gobbling it down like you haven't eaten in days." It's hard not to be curious. Zhao Yang, too focused on the candied treat to care whether Liu Hai's words were teasing or concerned, simply nodded enthusiastically. "I've seriously never tasted anything this good before. Sweet and sour, with sugar wrapped around hawthorn. Who comes up with stuff like this?" Liu Hai fell silent for a moment. His gaze towards Zhao Yang shifted, softening with a mix of pity and affection. So pitiful, he thought. Even something this simple is new to him. At that moment, Jiang knew, observing how the group's relationships were gradually growing warmer, felt quietly pleased. Their little team was finally starting to take shape. He wasn't sure if more members would join later on, but for now, the bond between them was the most important thing. "All right, enough chatting," Jiang Niu said. "Let's find a place to stay. It's getting late, and we haven't had a proper rest in days." Everyone nodded at once and followed Jiang Niu to a nearby inn. Once inside, the entire group agreed on one thing: they desperately needed a bath. They'd been traveling non-stop, sleeping in the wild and eating whatever they could scavenge. A proper wash was long overdue. "You all brought spare clothes, right? Let's get cleaned up first, then we'll eat," Jiang Niu instructed. The group nodded again and began sorting out their belongings. After about half an hour, everyone had reappeared except Ling Zai. An entire incense stick's worth of time passed, and their stomachs were starting to growl. No one wanted to wait anymore. "Jiang Niu, why don't we just go get food ourselves?" Liu Hai suggested. "Ling Zai's taking forever." "Yeah, if we wait much longer, I think I'll pass out from hunger," Zhao Yang joked. Jiang Niu hesitated. If they left Ling Zai behind and she came out to find them gone, she might worry. After all, she was still new to the outside world. A young, inexperienced Yao Guai, easy to deceive and quick to trust. If she ran into trouble, they might not be able to find her again. Sensing Jiang Niu's dilemma, Lin Xiao stepped forward. "They're not wrong. Ling Zai really has been taking too long, and we've already waited a while," he said. "I'm not hungry yet, so let them go eat. I'll stay here and take her to meet up with you once she's out." Jiang Niu finally relaxed and nodded, reassured. Lin Xiao's offer was just the thing he needed to hear. "All right. Ling Zai's in your hands, then. I'll take the rest of them to eat." Lin Xiao watched as the others left the inn, then remained seated in the lobby, patiently waiting for Ling Zai. Finally, after another incense stick's time, Ling Zai emerged from her room. The moment he saw her, Lin Xiao froze. She wore a flowing white robe, ethereal and light, the occasional jingle of bells dancing from her wrist. A radiant smile bloomed on her face, as warm and vivid as spring sunshine. She looked like the embodiment of life itself, an image of vitality completely opposite to Lin Xiao's own cold temperament. But when Ling Zai noticed that only Lin Xiao was waiting, a small frown creased her brow, slightly ruining the harmony of her appearance. Lin Xiao quickly averted his gaze, his deep, somber eyes settling into calm once more. "You're finally out." "Do you know how long I've been waiting?" he said flatly. Ling Zai had been about to ask him something herself. "Why are you the only one here? Where are the others? Did they already go eat?" Lin Xiao looked at her like she was an idiot. Of course, they'd gone to eat. Did she expect them all to wait forever? He was the only one foolish enough to stay behind. "What do you think?" "We waited for 2 incense sticks worth of time," he said. Ling Zai wilted instantly, like a frost-struck eggplant. She hadn't realized she'd taken that longer, and now Lin Xiao had been left to wait alone because of her. If she had known it would take so long, Ling Zai never would have spent so much time carefully picking out her outfit. "Sorry, Lin Xiao. I didn't expect to take this long," she apologized softly. "So now what do we do to find the others?" "I'm really hungry too," Lin Xiao sighed. He was honestly defeated by her innocent, almost coy, tone. She sounded like she was whining, but there was an unintentional charm to it, a soft coquettishness that Lin Xiao hadn't yet realized was slowly rooting itself in his heart. One day, by the time he noticed, it would have already grown into a towering tree. "Come on, I'll take you to eat." The moment Lin Xiao said that, Ling Zai's eyes lit up, sparkling like she'd just discovered treasure. She followed him out eagerly. Meanwhile, Jiang Niu and the others were still at the table, enjoying their long-awaited, flavorful meal. When Ling Zai and Lin Xiao arrived, the others were so busy devouring their food that they barely noticed. Ling Zai wrinkled her nose in distaste as she watched Liu Hai and Xiao Yang eat like they hadn't seen food in days. Only Jiang Niu managed to maintain some semblance of dignity, although his chopsticks never once slowed. When he saw the two arrive, he spared them a glance. "You're here. Sit down and eat quickly, before there's nothing left." Lin Xiao frowned deeply, the lines between his brows forming a sharp cross. He had a touch of cleanliness obsession, and watching Liu Hai and Xiao Yang scarf food like wild animals made his skin crawl. "Forget it. Ling Zai and I will get another table. You three can keep eating here." Jiang Niu nodded in understanding. He knew Lin Xiao's quirks well enough not to argue. Soon, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai were seated at their own table. As their dishes arrived, Liu Hai and Xiao Yang had already wiped their plates clean and were now eyeing their meal like starving wolves. Sensing the danger, Ling Zai immediately stood to guard the table. "You two already ate a whole table's worth of food. That's more than enough. No stealing ours." She even bared her tiny canine teeth in an attempt to look fierce. But to Liu Hai and Xiao Yang, the display was anything but intimidating. "Ling Zai, are you trying to make us beg for it?" "That was so cute. It's like you're offering us food on purpose." "Yeah, if you want us to eat with you, just say so." "I'd never say number." As Xiao Yang reached out with his chopsticks, Lin Xiao's pair clamped down on his with precision. He lifted his gaze, ear calm and icy. Xiao Yang instantly froze, a chill running through his spine. That look, it was like standing in a frozen wasteland. He quickly backed off, his hunger momentarily subdued. But he couldn't hide the pitiful glance he threw at Ling Zai, silently pleading. Jiang Niu chuckled to himself. He couldn't help but feel a little sorry for Xiao Yang. If the boy was still back in that little mountain village, he'd never be reduced to this. "Don't take it to heart," Jiang Niu said gently. "Lin Xiao just has a thing about cleanliness. If you two are still hungry, I'll order more food for you." At that, Liu Hai and Xiao Yang immediately perked up, eyes gleaming like hopeful puppies. Jiang Niu shifted uncomfortably. All right, I'll order more." Just stop looking at me like that." He waved a hand, and another round of food was brought to their table. This time, Liu Hai and Xiao Yang ate slowly, chewing carefully, as if trying to match the table manners of Lin Xiao and Ling Zai. Compared to the others, the atmosphere at Lin Xiao and Ling Zai's table was far more refined. The two of them ate gracefully, like nobles trained in etiquette, worlds apart from the others. Even Jiang Niu hadn't expected Lin Xiao and Ling Zai to eat with such grace and refinement. By the time they finally finished their meal, Liu Hai and the others had already been waiting off to the side. The moment they set down their bowls and chopsticks, Liu Hai immediately perked up with excitement. He had just overheard some locals talking about a grand lantern festival happening that night, and as someone who loved joining in on lively events, Liu Hai naturally wouldn't pass up the chance. Plus, he had the perfect excuse, Xiao Yang. Since it was his first time here, he deserved to see the local customs and celebrations. "Let's go to the Lantern Festival tonight," Liu Hai suggested eagerly. "I heard it's going to be a big one." Jiang Niu shot him a look, seeing right through his motives. "Liu Hai, if you want to go out and have fun, just say so." Liu Hai lit up at that response. Does this mean Jiang Niu might agree? "I do want to go out. I've never been to a lantern festival before," he admitted. "This city looks so lively. I bet the festival will be amazing." But Jiang Niu shook his head. After all the traveling, sleeping rough, and enduring the elements, tonight was a rare chance to get real rest. Besides, it wasn't guaranteed that the others would want to go either. "Did it ever occur to you that no one else might want to go?" Jiang Niu said. "Stop trying to drag us into it." Liu Hai pouted in disappointment. He hadn't expected Jiang Niu to shut him down so bluntly, and from the looks on everyone else's faces, they silently agreed. After days of hardship, They weren't about to give up the comfort of a proper bed for a crowded night out. But Liu Hai wasn't one to give up so easily. He began lobbying the others with a charming grin. "Come on, don't you want to go check it out?" he said. "Lantern festivals are super fun. There's street food, too. Zhao Yang, you haven't tried most of it yet, right?" And Ling Zai, he turned to her. "Look at what you're wearing. Don't you think it's time to treat yourself to something new? You're a girl, you should be dressing a bit more fashionably. I've heard there are all kinds of pretty things at these festivals. Let's go take a look together." It had to be said, Liu Hai really did have a way with persuasion. Zhao Yang and Ling Zai were quickly swayed. With their alliance formed, Zhao Yang and Liu Hai teamed up to pressure Jiang Niu, while Ling Zai focused on convincing Lin Xiao. "Let's go to the festival later," Ling Zai said sweetly. Liu Hai said it'll be really exciting. "I've never been to one before. Back when I was still cultivating on the mountain, they never let me go down to town." Lin Xiao could see right through her innocent tact. But somehow, he still found himself wanting to indulge her. He turned to look at Jiang Niu, clearly pushing the decision onto him. "If Jiang Niu says yes, we'll go." Ling Zai's eyes lit up instantly and turned expectantly to Jiang Niu. Now under the gaze of three hopeful pairs of eyes, Jiang Niu let out a long sigh and glared playfully at Lin Xiao. He couldn't believe Lin Xiao had dumped the responsibility on him like that. "Well, since you're all so keen on going, I'll take you," Jiang Niu relented. "You're right, as Zhao Yang's just come out into the world. He should enjoy it a little." Lin Xiao hadn't expected Jiang Niu to agree, thinking he'd find a way to talk them out of it. But since he'd said yes, there was nothing more to argue. Soon, the group arrived at the Lantern Festival, and just like Liu Hai had promised, it was packed with people and glowing with red lanterns. The streets were alive with celebration. Zhao Yang and Ling Zai dashed about excitedly, making it far too easy to get separated from the group. Lin Xiao quickly reached out and grabbed Ling Zai by the wrist. "Can you stop running around like that?" he said sternly. "You'll get lost in this crowd." But Ling Zai clearly wasn't taking him seriously. All right, I get it," she said, brushing him off. "You don't need to worry about me. I'm not a child. I won't get lost." She tried to slip away again, but Ling Xiao was already holding her firmly. If Ling Zai thought escaping him was going to be easy, she had another thing coming. At that moment, Ling Zai gave Ling Xiao a confused look, not understanding why he wouldn't let her go. "Ling Xiao, let go of me. I want to have fun with them." "How am I supposed to play if you're holding me like this?" Lin Xiao glanced at her with a cold, indifferent expression, and just that look was enough to silence Ling Zai immediately. "You really want to get lost in a place like this, don't you? Let me tell you in advance here, if you wander off and disappear, no one is going to come looking for you." Hearing that, Ling Zai pouted and muttered something under her breath. Jiang Niu, watching this little exchange between them, suddenly had a thought. Those two really do look like a couple. Lin Xiao with his domineering aura, and Ling Zai like a clueless little bunya. It was an oddly compelling combination. "All right, Lin Xiao, stop scaring her. Let Ling Zai go and have fun. She finally gets a rare chance to come out and explore," Jiang Niu said. "And Ling Zai, you don't have to listen to him. Goplaya will keep an eye on you. It's not like we're powerless. Even if we get separated, we'll be able to find each other." Ling Zai nodded eagerly, feeling validated by Jiang Niu's words. "See," Jiang Niu said, "it's fine." "Why are you the only one making a big deal out of it?" With that, she shook off Lin Xiao's grip and happily ran off to rejoin the others. Lin Xiao stood frozen for a moment, watching his hand being tossed aside. His gaze gradually turned darker, more shadowed. Jiang Niu, noticing the shift in Lin Xiao's expression, immediately realized something to Lin Xiao. Ling Zai might just be his salvation. If that's the case, he couldn't afford to let Lin Xiao spiral. Who knew what he might do if those feelings got out of control? Clapping a hand on Lin Xiao's shoulder, Jiang Niu gave him a smile. "What's on your mind?" "If you really like Ling Zai," he continued, "the last thing you should do is try to cage her. No girl wants to be controlled. The best thing you can do is protect her, but let her be free." Lin Xiao looked as if he understood, but still hesitated. "But if I don't let her out of my sight, won't she be safer?" "If she stays by my side, No one can hurt her. She'll be safe from everything. Jiang Yu nodded. He didn't doubt Ling Xiao's capability. But if he really went through with that plan, Ling Zai might never forgive him. Nobody wants to live like a canary in a cage. Ling Xiao, Jiang Yu said seriously, no one wants to be locked away, seeing only one person for the rest of their life. If it were you, would you want that? Ling Xiao quietly nodded. He actually would be happy to spend his life with just that one person. Jiang Yu almost laughed in exasperation. This guy really doesn't get it. Well, he'd have to figure it out on his own, eventually. If you want Ling Zai to stay with you willingly, Jiang Yu said, then listen to me. Protect her, yes, but don't take away her freedom. Ling Xiao nodded, though his expression showed he still didn't fully understand. He'd tried Jiang Yu's approach for now. But if Ling Zai kept rebelling against him, he wouldn't hesitate to use his own methods. Meanwhile, the other three up ahead had no idea what was being discussed behind them. They continued playing without a care in the world, while Jiang Yu and Ling Xiao followed along behind, quietly protecting them. Before long, Jiang Yu and Ling Xiao's arms were full of various trinkets and snacks, of the spoils from the three's shopping spree. From toys to food to random curiosities, they bought everything they could get their hands on. Even their silver was starting to run low. Seeing that they were still eager to continue, Jiang Yu stepped in to stop them. That's enough. If you keep spending like this, we'll have nothing left for travel expenses. Liu Hai looked disappointed but didn't argue. With 5 people and dwindling funds, it made sense to cut back. In that case, Liu Hai said, why don't we think of a way to earn some money? We'll need more for the road anyway. Jiang Yu nodded. He had to admit Liu Hai made a good point. The only problem was, they had no idea how to earn money in this place. So, he asked, do you have any ideas? As they continued walking, Jiang Yu and the others began discussing money-making ideas, but Ling Zai quickly grew annoyed. Can you guys not talk about that right now? She frowned. We're clearly out shopping. Can't we leave this until tomorrow, or at least when we're resting? We finally get to enjoy a night out, and here you are, spoiling the mood. Hearing her say that, Jiang Yu immediately smiled indulgently. He had expected Ling Zai to dislike these kinds of topics. Since that was the case, there was no need to continue the conversation. They could figure out the money situation tomorrow. For tonight, they should simply enjoy themselves and buy what they like. He'd noticed earlier that there were people by the river releasing lanterns for blessings. Why not do the same to cap off the evening? I saw a lot of people setting off lanterns by the river just now. Why don't we each buy one and send them off together? Once we've done that, let's go back and rest. Everyone nodded eagerly. They'd assumed their shopping was already over, but it seemed Jiang Yu was giving them a little more time. The 5 of them soon found themselves in front of a lantern stall, browsing the different styles. The selection was wide and colorful. Liu Hai picked out a lantern shaped like a lion. It suited him perfectly. Zhao Yang chose one shaped like a sun, matching the meaning of his name. Ling Xiao's gaze lingered on Ling Zai for a long moment. Then he quietly picked a rabbit-shaped lantern, one that resembled her. Ling Zai immediately burst out laughing when she saw it. Ling Xiao, I didn't expect you to be into this kind of thing. Never judge a book by its cover, huh? Her comment drew chuckles from Zhao Yang and Liu Hai too, who glanced at the lantern and joined in teasing him. Jiang Yu nearly burst out laughing himself, but noticing Ling Xiao's expression darken, he quickly intervened. All right, pick your own and stop bothering Ling Xiao. Better choose quickly, or once we're done with the lanterns, we're heading back to rest. To his surprise, everyone turned to stare at him. It turned out he was the only one who hadn't picked a lantern yet. Everyone else was just waiting on him. Realizing this, Jiang Yu gave an awkward chuckle. Fine, I won't hold everyone up. He casually picked up a bird-shaped lantern, symbolizing freedom, fitting for someone like him who longed for independence and disliked being restrained. The group made their way to the riverside, each holding their lanterns. The river was dotted with glowing lights, floating gently in the current. The atmosphere felt serene and hopeful, like some kind of blessing ritual, though none of them quite knew what exactly to wish for. Still, all 5 of them closed their eyes symbolically and made a wish before releasing their lanterns. Jiang Yu, ever curious, asked after a moment, so, What did you all wish for? Mind sharing? To his amusement, everyone immediately shook their heads like they were guarding secrets. If you say it out loud, it won't come true, Ling Zai said seriously. Don't you know that, Jiang Niu? What, are you trying to sabotage our wishes just because yours won't come true? Her words, spoken in such a cute tone, made Jiang Niu laugh. He reached out and gently ruffled her hair. To him, Ling Zai was like a younger sister, so he didn't think much of the gesture. But the next moment, he felt a chill like the cold blade of a knife sweeping over him. Jiang Niu reflexively withdrew his hand and looked over, only to see Lin Xiao's icy stare fixed on him. Honestly, this was getting out of hand. Still, Jiang Niu found it amusing. The fact that Lin Xiao could even act like this meant something good. Well, since everyone sent off their lanterns, let's head back and rest, Jiang Niu said, brushing it off. We haven't had a proper rest in ages, so tonight's our chance to really relax. Everyone agreed happily. After so long without rest, this brief moment of calm was something to savor. When they returned to the inn, the group quickly drifted off into peaceful sleep. By the time the sun had climbed high into the sky the next day, the group finally stirred awake one by one. For them, this was a rare moment of true rest and relaxation, and none of them was going to let it slip away. After waking up, they quickly freshened up and prepared to head out for breakfast. At that moment, Jiang Niu took out the remaining silver. There was only enough left to cover a single meal. He immediately called everyone into his room to gather. He placed the coins on the table in front of them and said, "This is all the money we have left. Every last bit. We're facing a serious problem. If we eat breakfast with this, we'll have nothing left. We need to find a way to make money. Otherwise, we'll be sleeping under the stars again, maybe not even able to afford an inn." Upon hearing this, everyone suddenly realized the gravity of the situation. They had only just enjoyed the comfort of a proper inn, and the thought of giving that up so soon was dreadful. Jiang Niu had rightly brought up something they couldn't ignore. They needed to figure out how to earn enough silver to support themselves. "How about we go hunt down some evil Yao Guais?" Ling Zai suggested brightly. "We're all cultivators, right? We could earn good money for it." Jiang Niu nodded thoughtfully. It wasn't a bad idea, but there were caveats. "Not every place has monsters," he said. "And not everyone who needs help has money to pay us." "It's a good plan in theory, but there are a lot of impracticalities." Hearing this, Ling Zai instantly deflated like a pricked balloon and flopped down onto the bed. "I don't know what to do then," she muttered, frustrated. "That won't work. This won't work. I'm out of ideas." "You geese figure it out." The room fell into an unusual silence. Even Jiang Niu didn't know what to say right away. Then Lin Xiao, who had been quietly thinking, finally spoke up. He actually agreed with Ling Xia. There was merit in her suggestion. "Ling Zai's idea still makes sense. Even if we don't find paying clients, we can hunt down those Yao Guais that have done real harm and sell their inner cores. A single powerful Yao Gui core could fetch a good price." Jiang Niu's eyes lit up slightly. That was a new angle. If that worked, it could be their best option. "All right, then it's settled. Let's go see if there are any Yao Gui nearby. If anyone finds something, report back immediately so we can deal with it together." Everyone nodded, and the group quickly split up to begin their search. Ling Xiao was paired with Ling Xu. It gave everyone peace of mind. After all, she was still a girl, and if she were to run into trouble alone, it could end badly. The rest went off in separate directions, though they did wonder why they were going to so much trouble. But a moment's thought reminded them, they needed this money to keep going. A little work now would save them a lot of hardship later. Meanwhile, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai made their way up a nearby mountain, only to find that there weren't any dangerous monsters around. Instead, they encountered several kind and gentle Yao Guais, not unlike Ling Zai herself. Ling Zai ended up chatting warmly with these small Yao Guais. Just before they were about to leave, a thought struck her. Why not ask them if they knew of any truly malicious Yao Guais in the area? Turning back, she looked at the little Yao Guais. "I have something really important to ask you. Are there any dangerous or evil monsters nearby?" "We want to help protect people," she explained, but we don't know where to start. The little Yao Gui's didn't hesitate. They nodded quickly. But it turned out the evil Yao Gui's weren't hiding up in the mountains. They were down in the town, possessing human hosts. There are monstrous Yao Gui's, yes, one said. But they've taken over people. Are you sure you're strong enough to handle that? Ling Zai's expression grew serious. This wasn't just a letter, it was a potentially urgent threat. She couldn't afford to delay. Of course, we can handle it. Please, tell us everything. We want to help before anyone gets hurt. Moved by her determination, the Yao Gui's didn't hold back. They told her and Lin Xiao everything they knew. As they listened, Ling Zai and Lin Xiao exchanged a heavy glance. This was no small matter. They had to alert the others immediately. Once Lin Xiao and Ling Zai discovered something so important, they knew they had to tell Jiang Niu and the others immediately. We need to hurry back and find Jiang Niu. This isn't a small matter, Ling Zai urged. If those Yao Gui's are allowed to keep running amok in the village, the entire population could suffer. Lin Xiao nodded and looked at Ling Zai with surprise. He felt she hadn't been the type to meddle in others' affairs in the past, but now, something in her had changed. Still, no matter what, she was Ling Zai, and he would always protect her. Then let's go find Jiang Niu right away, he said. Ling Zai nodded in agreement, and the two quickly made their way back to the meeting point. However, even as night fell, Jiang Niu and the others had yet to arrive. An uneasy premonition crept over Lin Xiao. Ling Zai, we can't wait any longer. If Jiang Niu and the others haven't returned by now, something must have happened to them. Ling Zai was startled by Lin Xiao's words. She knew his intuition was usually spot on, so hearing him say this filled her with unease. What do you mean? Why haven't they shown up yet? Are you saying something happened to them, or have you sensed it? Lin Xiao looked grim. I'm sure something went wrong. I just don't know where it had happened. Ling Zai frowned deeply. If even Lin Xiao couldn't pinpoint the location, how would they find Jiang Niu? As they were growing more anxious, Liu Hai suddenly walked in from outside. Ling Zai blinked in surprise and glanced at Lin Xiao as if silently asking, what's going on? Lin Xiao saw her look, but couldn't explain anything. No matter how he phrased it, it would sound off. Still, something didn't feel right. Liu Hai came back. Maybe your intuition was wrong? Jiang Niu and the others might show up soon, Ling Zai suggested. Lin Xiao's brow creased. He didn't like being doubted, especially not by Ling Zai. She should trust him completely. Her remark made him feel unacknowledged. You're questioning my instincts? Ling Zai quickly shook her head. Yet despite her denial, she could feel a creeping sense of danger. I'm not doubting you. But if your intuition was right, then how is Liu Hai here? Lin Xiao didn't have an answer. Either his senses had failed him, or this Liu Hai was an imposter. My instincts are rarely wrong. That must mean this person isn't the real Liu Hai. And so, Liu Hai found himself suddenly suspected without reason. Ling Zai and Lin Xiao exchanged serious looks. They had no idea what was happening or who, exactly, had taken Liu Hai's place. Then let's test him, Ling Zai proposed. We'll find out if he's really Liu Hai. Lin Xiao agreed, though he wasn't sure how they could pull it off. But how? Ling Zai suddenly remembered all the things Liu Hai had said to them during the Lantern Festival. She had a plan. Leave it to me. I'll figure out if he's real or not. Confident in her approach, Lin Xiao nodded and stepped back, trusting her to handle it. Ling Zai approached Liu Hai, wearing a worried expression. Liu Hai, you're finally back. Where's Jiang Niu? Didn't he come back with you? Liu Hai's face twisted into a look of irritation. Jiang Niu isn't back yet? We split up, remember? You and Lin Xiao went one way, and I was with Jiang Niu and Zhao Yang. Ling Zai glanced at Lin Xiao in confusion. She hadn't known they'd split into multiple groups. She had assumed everyone was together. Her plan to test Liu Hai suddenly seemed flimsy. Jiang Niu wasn't with you? I thought he was. He and Zhao Yang still haven't returned. Upon hearing this, Liu Hai's face turned anxious as well. When Ling Zai heard what Liu Hai said, she shook her head too, not knowing what was going on either. At that moment, it was as if Ling Zai had completely forgotten about testing Liu Hai, and when Lin Xiao saw this, he felt both helpless and annoyed. Seriously, He hadn't expected Ling Zai to forget something so important at such a time. If this Liu Hai in front of them really was an imposter, they'd all be in danger. Just as Ling Xiao was about to step in himself to test Liu Hai, he suddenly heard Ling Zai casually change the topic. I really don't know where they could have run off to. Do you think maybe they saw something lively and went off to join the crowd again? Liu Hai actually paused to think about this seriously. That can't be it. I remember Jiang Nu's not someone who likes crowds. The last time we went to the Lantern Festival, he and Lin Xiao just stayed behind us carrying our things as they barely bought anything, and they didn't join in the fun at all. When Ling Zai heard Liu Hai say this, she looked at Lin Xiao with wide eyes. It really was Liu Hai. Only one of them would know Jiang Nu's personality this well. That meant that this Liu Hai must be the real one. So, who was actually in trouble? Could it really be Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang? Is it possible that Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang ran into trouble? Lin Xiao shook his head when he heard Ling Zai say that. He didn't know who exactly was in danger. His ability only let him sense that something bad had happened, but not the exact who or where. Just then, Liu Hai overheard Ling Zai and Lin Xiao's talk and immediately grew more anxious. Lin Xiao, did you sense something bad again? Then we need to hurry and find Zhao Yang and Jiang Nu. If something happens to them, we'll regret it forever. When Ling Zai and Lin Xiao heard Liu Hai say that, they were even more convinced this really was the real Liu Hai. If he were a fake, he wouldn't have said something like that. So where do we even start looking? Ling Zai's simple question instantly stumped both Liu Hai and Lin Xiao. They really didn't know where to look for Jiang Nu. It felt like they'd been trapped in a huge maze, not knowing where to go or where Jiang Nu might appear. Where can we even find Jiang Nu? This really is a headache, Liu Hai muttered. Hearing that, Lin Xiao and Ling Zai could only shake their heads too. If they'd had any clues, they would have been searching already. It was precisely because they had none that they were stuck here, pacing around in circles. But if we don't at least try to look, then we'll never find them either, Ling Zai said. Let's just split up and check every place we can. Maybe we'll get lucky and run into them. Though Lin Xiao and Liu Hai both knew this was a clumsy approach, they had to admit it was practical. So very quickly, the three of them left the inn to search. Just as they stepped outside, Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang finally returned. But when Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang saw the empty room, they were both taken aback. Logically speaking, Ling Zai and the others should have been back by now. How could they be missing for so long? Jiang Nu, what now? We've gotten separated from Ling Zai and Lin Xiao, Zhao Yang said anxiously. Jiang Nu shook his head. They'd just come back from a generous patron's house. The patron had been very kind, offering to take them in and even give them some travel funds. Though Jiang Nu still felt it all sounded too good to be true, it had really happened. There are still good people in this world. We should believe that there's more good than bad, Jiang Nu said. It wasn't easy finding someone willing to help us and give us some money for the road. And now we can't find Ling Zai and the others. Zhao Yang knew Jiang Nu was worried, but worrying wouldn't solve anything now. If they really wanted to handle this properly, they needed to act quickly. Let's head back to the patron's house first, Zhao Yang suggested. We can leave a note or a message with the innkeeper. If Ling Zai and the others come back, he can tell them where we went. That way they'll find us soon. Seeing that there was no other way, Jiang Nu could only nod. They'd do just that. It was the only option for now. So after leaving the message behind, Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang returned to the patron's residence. Ling Zai was anxiously following Lin Xiao and Liu Hai through the town, searching every street and alley for any sign of Jiang Nu and Zhao Yang. They combed through the bustling crowds until the sky began to darken, but there was still no trace of them. Just as Ling Zai was about to ask Lin Xiao whether they should keep looking, a servant boy suddenly ran up to them, blocking their path with a respectful bow. Are you the companions of Master Jiang Nu? The servant asked cautiously, his tone humble yet urgent. Master Jiang Nu ordered me to search for you nearby. He said if I found you, I must bring you back at once. Master Fu has requested your presence. Ling Zai froze for a moment in surprise, then a wave of relief washed over her tight chest. Lin Xiao only cast the servant a cold glance. Though the suspicion in his eyes did not fade, he still gave a slight nod. Lead the way, Ling Xiao said flatly. And so, with the servant guiding them, they wove back through the narrow lanes and busy streets until at last they arrived at the grand front gates of Patron Fu's residence. When Ling Zai heard Ling Xiao's words, she nodded and had no choice but to follow his lead. Together with Ling Xiao and the others, she followed the servant's lead and went to the front hall. Once there, someone immediately went to notify Jiang Niu and Zhao Yang. Before long, Jiang Niu and Zhao Yang appeared. The moment Ling Zai and the others saw them, they finally felt at ease. You and Zhao Yang nearly scared us to death. Where did you go? Why didn't you tell us beforehand? Do you have any idea how worried we were about you? Liu Hai, looking very anxious, said this to Jiang Niu. Jiang Niu listened carefully, not daring to interrupt him. After all, Liu Hai was fierce when upset. Besides, Jiang Niu knew this was partly his and Zhao Yang's fault. They had indeed worried everyone. I'm sorry. It all happened so suddenly, and I forgot to tell you, Jiang Niu explained sincerely. Zhao Yang and I ran into it by chance here on the way here. We met Patron Fu's wife. She was in trouble, so we helped her, and she brought us here. After Jiang Niu's explanation, Liu Hai's expression finally eased a little. But Ling Xiao still felt there was something off about this Patron Fu's household. There was a faint scent that he couldn't describe, as if there was a smell of corpses hidden under layers of perfume or incense. How long have you been here? Have you looked around carefully? Ling Xiao asked. Hearing Ling Xiao's question, Jiang Niu suddenly realized Ling Xiao might have sensed something. I haven't really checked this place thoroughly. We've only been here for a day, and there are still many parts I haven't seen. Ling Xiao nodded slightly. So that was it, which meant Jiang Niu might not know what was really going on neither. He could very well be kept in the dark. Ling Xiao's interest in this Patron Fu's household deepened. He wondered if the rumors the little Yao Gui's had mentioned earlier were about this very place. If so, they need to be extremely cautious from now on. Just now, Ling Zai and I found out something important. I'll tell you all later, Ling Xiao said quietly. Hearing this, Jiang Niu nodded too. His instincts told him Ling Xiao's information probably had something to do with Patron Fu. You're right, this isn't a good place to talk. The walls may have ears. Jiang Niu fully agreed with Ling Xiao. Just then, as they were speaking, Patron Fu arrived with his family in tow. When he saw Jiang Niu and the others chatting together, he immediately realized these people were indeed Jiang Niu's friends. Since they were Jiang Niu's friends, they were also his guests. Jiang Niu had saved his wife, so he naturally owed them gratitude. You all must be Master Jiang's friends, Patron Fu said with a warm smile. Since you're new here, I'm sure there's much you don't know yet. Please, rest here first. I wonder if you've had dinner yet. If not, I'll have the servants prepare something right away. Hearing this, Ling Zai shyly touched her stomach. They really hadn't eaten yet because they'd been out looking for Jiang Niu and Zhao Yang all this time. Their energy was long spent. When Patron Fu's wife saw Ling Zai's adorable gesture, she couldn't help but laugh softly. She truly wished she had a daughter as lovely as Ling Zai. But she couldn't bear children anymore, and honestly, she no longer wanted to. She feared that if she did, any new child would fight for inheritance against the one already here. It was rare for a woman in her position to think like this. Most women wanted to have a son and fight for every bit of wealth, but not her. This young lady looks so blessed, and pretty too, Madame Fu said kindly. You must be starving. Come with me to the dining hall. I'll have the servants prepare food right away. Ling Zai's eyes lit up at her words. In her mind, anyone who fed her and kept her company was a good person. Besides, who would expect a Yao Gui to be living inside a woman's body? Surely this woman was harmless. Just as Ling Zai was about to step forward toward Madame Fu, Ling Xiao suddenly reached out, grabbed her, and pulled her back at once. He would never let Ling Zai come into contact with anyone from this house. Everyone here seemed far too strange. Madame, I think it's best if we don't, Ling Xiao urged. Ling Zai's always clumsy. She might bump into you by accident. Ling Xiao's tone was perfectly sincere, his handsome face calm and respectful. No one could tell he was doing it on purpose. Ling Zai, however, fumed when she heard him. Ling Xiao, don't insult me like that. I'm not clumsy at all. Apologize to me right now or I'll be really mad. Seeing Ling Zai's little outburst, Ling Xiao could only look helplessly at Madame Fu. Madame Fu laughed softly, understanding Ling Xiao's intention. He was simply worried the girl might knock into her. She overthought it. Miss Ling Zai, don't be upset. Mr. Lin is only looking out for you. She turned to smooth things over. Everyone, let's not stand around. Let's go to the dining hall. Surely you're all hungry by now. Everyone agreed. Patron Fu came to his wife's side, supporting her gently as they walked hand in hand, showing genuine affection. Watching them, Jiang Niu couldn't help but think they seemed truly loving. Otherwise, how could they look so happy? Ling Xiao, however, stared at the couple with thoughtful eyes, a hint of envy flickering there yet buried deep. Ling Zai couldn't possibly know what he was thinking. She was still pouting at Ling Xiao for insulting her. Jiang Niu glanced at the two, shaking his head with a smile. These two really were like quarreling soulmates. If they were to reach the happy ending they deserved, they still had a long way to go. Soon, they all sat down at the table. The servants had already prepared a rich meal. I didn't know when you'd arrive, nor what you don't eat, Madame Fu said warmly. So today's dishes may be simple. Tomorrow, you can tell me what you like or dislike. Here I'll have the kitchens do better. Ling Zai shook her head quickly. They weren't picky. Having such good food already made her feel very lucky. It's fine, Madame Fu, this is enough for us. We're not picky about food. Hearing this, Madame Fu covered her mouth and laughed gently, her gaze toward Ling Zai full of soft fondness. Then eat plenty, child, she said, personally placing food into Ling Zai's bowl. Ling Zai nodded earnestly and accepted the food, digging in with bright eyes. She was famished. She ate so quickly that she barely paused to breathe. Ling Xiao, seeing her devour her meal so shamelessly, looked away, pretending to be disgusted. But the moment she started choking, he silently handed her a cup of water. Jiang Niu saw him acting cold with his words but warm with his actions, and couldn't help but smile. Ling Xiao had truly fallen for Ling Xiao whether he knew it or not. Watching him, Jiang Niu found himself wondering, when would he meet his own destined one? Maybe it was far off or maybe closer than he thought. After dinner, it was already nearing midnight. Patron Fu spoke up. It's almost time to rest. Everyone should get a good night's sleep. We'll talk more in the morning. Rest is the priority tonight. Everyone nodded and returned to their rooms. But in the third quarter of the hour, they quietly gathered again in Jiang Niu's room. Jiang Niu looked at Ling Xiao. He wanted to know exactly what Ling Xiao meant earlier. Ling Xiao, what did you want to tell me just now? Ling Xiao turned his eyes to Ling Zai. Some things were better told by her, after all, she had discovered them first.